Are you tired of hearing about high gas prices? Too bad, because they keep going higher. The average price for regular is now $4.43 a gallon, the highest price ever. Diesel prices have risen by even more than gasoline and now average $5.56 a gallon. Trucking costs are surging, and there's a shortage of diesel on the East Coast that could lead to rationing and delivery disruptions of all kinds of goods. This is not a thing that's supposed to happen. This is directly from a Yahoo News article about, and they've titled this article "This Week in Bidenomics" or Bidenomics economics. Everything's going the wrong direction. And according to News Nation, we're in a crisis. Farmers are sounding alarm over coming food shortage.
John Boyd Jr., fourth generation farmer, president of the National Black Farmers Association, with us from Virginia. Good to see you, sir. I appreciate it. How close are we to major dislocations in America's food supply?
We're in a crisis right now in America as far as the food chain goes and what's going on with the American farmer in this country. As you just spoke about the wetlands up in Illinois and the surrounding states that haven't been able to get a plow and a planter in the field, we're going to lose a lot of production there. The war in Ukraine and what's going on with Russia, you're taking out pretty much a whole region of the world that's not going to be able to produce corn, wheat, and soybeans. We're going to see a lot of empty shelves and a lot more higher prices. For those people who haven't been to the grocery store lately, the prices are already rising, and they're going to continue to go up. For the first time in my 39-year career as a farmer, I'm paying $5.63 for a gallon of diesel fuel, $900 a ton for fertilizer, all-time high prices for soybean seeds. And this is a time where America needs to pay attention to what's going on to farmers, because you may not need a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, but you need a farmer every day.
And this was posted yesterday. The American food supply chain is in a crisis right now, a crisis that could be reflected on grocery store shelves and wallets by the end of the summer. This warning comes from farmer John Boyd Jr., the president of the National Black Farmers Association, who spoke to News Nation, and he says that poor planning weather across much of the country, higher prices on seeds, fertilizer, and fuel, and supply chain issues are taking a heavy toll on farmers. He's quoted saying, "We're going to see a lot of empty shelves and a lot more higher prices." He's calling on the federal government to give financial aid to farmers to help at least mitigate some of the increased costs they're seeing, which would ultimately lead to higher prices for customers. And a Fortune article claims that we're going to see cereal and corn starting to run out in 2023 from a Russia-driven food shortage. The world faces the risk of food shortages is what this one's titled. More than 3 months of war and blockaded exports are keeping Ukrainian food products from the world, and the UN warns we might be on the cusp of a food shortage. The whole world, that is, not just Russia and Ukraine. And they're pinpointing cereal and corn starting 2023. In 2023, let's see, David Beasley, executive director of the UN's World Food Program, said that in 2023, you will have a food shortage problem. Around 25 million tons of various staple grains are currently sitting in storage units in large port cities such as Odessa, waiting to be shipped to international markets, but they are unable to leave Ukraine because of an ongoing Russian blockade in the Black Sea. The store, I'm actually in Publix right now, and it looks pretty good, but this is this may be short-lived. And can you imagine waiting 4 hours for 5 gallons of gas? So in Kyiv, there's an oil shortage, and it sparked panic buying. Let's see here, and it shows drivers lining up at gas stations during the fuel supply cutoff in Ukraine. And this is the second time in a week that they did this. So now granted this is Ukraine. This isn't US. But at the end of the day, it's a shortage. And when there's a shortage, people panic. And they kind of throw caution to the wind and will impulse buy, bulk buy, hoard. So we do need to be paying attention to this because it could happen here, especially with claims of possible diesel fuel shortages on the East Coast. You can see yourself waiting hours and hours and hours in line to get fuel, and you already know how chaotic and dangerous a situation will be at a gas station with fuel rationing. And Walmart's not the only large retailer closing stores, with Walmart closing, I think it's like 20 stores this year, with probably more closing next year. But Amazon's actually closing 6 Whole Food stores. And I think one of them, Amazon's closing 6 Whole Food stores, one of them being on the south side of Chicago. And the residents and employees of this location are actually devastated, and they feel like it's a slap in the face. But I feel like the writing is on the wall. You know, south side of Chicago, Whole Foods, Amazon Corporation have, realized that, hey, we want to go where the money's at. And in certain income brackets, certain demographics, you're probably going to see more and more stores closing, just for the simple fact that with limited resources, those limited resources being food, and now limited resources including diesel and making shipping more difficult, they're going to focus and concentrate on the areas that have more wealth, more money, probably more affluent, and everyone else is going to suffer or have to commute and travel. But more than likely, when you get where you're going, you're not going to be able to get what you need. There's going to be shortages, and prices are going to be much, much higher. And this was actually the statement from Whole Foods, or from Amazon, and it says, as we continue to position Whole Foods market for long-term success, we regularly evaluate the performance and growth potential of each of our stores, and we have made the difficult decision to close 6 stores. We are supporting impacted team members through this transition and expect that all interested eligible team members will find positions at our other locations. And this is from the Whole Foods spokeswoman in an email that she sent out. But if you listen to the beginning of it, we continue to position Whole Foods market for long-term success, performance, and growth potential. And that's where it's at. It's not about, servicing the communities that need the food. It's about success, performance, growth, profits, revenues, bottom lines, pleasing shareholders, and capitalizing on the opportunities. And it's not just the government who isn't going to let a good crisis go to waste. These major corporations, these big businesses, who you have to realize are part of our government. I mean, they spend billions of dollars lobbying to politicians to get their ways, to position themselves in the best place possible, to avoid paying taxes, to get grants and other incentives to operate, and then basically shit on the little guy left and right. So expect more of that coming in the future. And according to Eat This Not That, Walmart, Whole Foods, and other grocery stores are closing too. So it's not just Walmart and Whole Foods. There are more stores. Some stores are closing, leaving shoppers without other options. Inflation is driving up prices, and shortages are being spotted. But all the while, a few of the largest grocery store chains in the country are closing stores very soon. With these locations shutting their doors for good, many customers will be forced to shop elsewhere. So they got Walmart closing, America's largest retail chain with nearly 5,000 locations scattered around all 50 states in the U.S. is closing some of its stores because of weak sales and underperformance. These include Louisville, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Ohio, Bellevue, Washington, and Guilford, Connecticut, Mayfield Heights, Ohio. So you got Whole Foods closing and Kroger's closing. So they're closing a store in Plano, Texas. Campbellsville, Kentucky, and Macomb, Mississippi. Piggly Wiggly's on the list. Meanwhile, the drought status upgraded to extreme on the central coast. With the latest update, it is more apparent than ever that we need rain in California badly. Unfortunately, there's no chances in the forecast anytime soon. California braces for extreme summer drought. And honestly, I can't even make this stuff up. Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the United States, is shrinking amid the widespread drought conditions across southwestern North America. So according to the U.S. Drought Monitor, every single region in Nevada experienced drought conditions that range from severe, extreme, and the Nevada Reservoir provides drinking water for millions of people, generates hydroelectric power, and is essential for irrigating croplands. Water levels sank, which is to the lowest height recorded since the reservoir was filled in the 1930s. But one unexpected impact of the drought conditions is the discovery of crimes that have long been hidden beneath the water's surface. A body was found on May 1st, and a press release from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department states that a barrel containing human remains was located in the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. Detectives believe the victim was killed sometime in the mid-70s, early 80s based on clothing and footwear the victim was found with. And investigators are currently working to identify the victim. This is an ongoing investigation. And just a few days later, a sighting of human skeletal remains at Colville Bay in the Lake Mead National Recreation Area was reported to the National Park Service on May 7th. So, due to the prolonged drought with no immediate relief in sight, Las Vegas Police Homicide Lieutenant publicly stated that it's likely that we will find additional bodies that have been dumped in Lake Mead, and this is as the water levels continue to drop, uncovering some secrets that people were trying to hide under the water's surface. Well, I hope everybody's doing all they can to stay safe and protected and prepared for all the craziness that's going on and more to be expected. And so just make sure, number one, make sure your health is top priority. Health and safety is top priority. Number two, you're going to want to make sure that your finances in order, because like I said, these prices are going to keep going up, and that's going to probably hurt more than inventory levels first. And then three, make sure you got your food, your water, you got your supplies, you got your surplus, you got your stockpile, you got your pantry full, you got everything. And just keep your head on a swivel and be smart, and don't rush to make any crazy irrational moves or anything like that. But stay tuned for more updates I'll bring to you as I uncover these. And subscribe to the channel. Get a video a like, please. If you would, get a video a like, a thumbs up, comment. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want the community to be able to share information amongst each other, around the country, around the world. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe now, turn on notifications, share the video and share the channel so that we can reach more people and help as many people as possible.